So no one prepares you for just how much your friendships and relationships, period, change as you grow, as you heal, and as you step into more of what is meant for you. And that aside, as we're going to discuss in this podcast, adult friendship is already complicated. You know what I'm saying? And so then you add growth and healthy change to that. And it's like Godspeed and God bless. Why aren't we talking about how difficult this can be and also how to move through it without losing your wits? Or how to come back after you lose them a little bit, right? If you're new here, welcome. This is Percy Ponders, a podcast for sensitive and thoughtful cousins. We do things together because if you're sensitive and thoughtful, especially as a guy or as a human, period, yeah, we live in the emotional dark ages. We really do. And so it helps to have spaces like this for us to process and move forward. So, what brought me to this topic, cousins? I'll be frank with you. I have been in my personal season of seismic growth, right? In big shifts. I have lately, really, I've been doing so many things in my career, my coaching work, and my content creation, with my artistry, with my writing. I've been doing things that I put off for eons. And why, you ask? Why am I finally doing things that I put off? Hmm, Mostly because I just got sick of feeling like I had potential I wasn't living up to, if I'm being honest. I also got to a point where I was like, I'll be damned if you find me working another corporate job that is grossly misaligned in the name of just making a buck, right? And so I'm doing what I do now full time between coaching, content creation, writing, facilitating, performing, speaking. I get to do this full time and I'm super grateful for it. And I'd say also, what else thrust me into this season of doing it, you know what I mean? Really doing it, is that back in February, they eliminated my department, okay? At a tech company. That's neither here, neither there. And so it was like, okay, we're getting thrust into this as well. But I'd been doing this as a serious, serious job outside of my day job for years leading up to this. And so it was the necessary thrust out of the mother's nest. Why did I do all that tangent for you? You're like, bring it back, bring it back. Because that set the scene for why I was thrust into this season of changing. And this season of changing has helped me to stumble into a few lessons on friendship that are quite soothing, especially for people who are growing and you feel like people are falling off or things are shifting and it's kind of weird. So, the first thing I learned about friendship, as the sort of person who tends to reach out first, as the sort of person who values depth and substance and semi regular communication, even if we don't see each other all the time, I have learned that a lot of friendships, right, are rooted in proximity. That when the thing that brought you together ends or changes big time, that relationship will most likely sail on by. And it's nothing personal. It's just that that was a proximity related relationship. It was a contextual relationship. It was contextual to you being in college together. It was contextual to you being coworkers. It was contextual to you living near each other, right? It was contextual to you being a part of the same club. In the club, we all fam. And in the absence of that, it's like, okay, you just don't see them as much. And accepting that helped me make peace with no longer clinging to certain friendships from college that I was like, wow, I thought this would be my homie for life. And I had to accept that. No, a friendship doesn't work where I only hit you up all the time and you never hit me up, right? Friendship doesn't work when only one of us is trying to maintain the connection. And yeah, all people go through stuff. All people are going through a lot in life and whatnot, but ultimately we do make time for what we value to some degree, right? And so I've just made peace with that. I have made peace with that. Another thing I have accepted in this season of big growth, coming into really cool things, getting way, way, way closer to just the thinnest gap between my vision and the reality of it all, right? I've accepted that as you level up and grow, it gets lonely because everyone doesn't want to grow. And it's nothing personal. And certain people just get weird toward you as you continue to become more of who you're meant to be. Other people you get to bring along for that journey because they're on their own growth journey and it's awesome. But there are friendship deaths baked into growing, right? That the price of growth is loneliness, not forever, right? But for a season, it is. I caught up with someone a few months ago, someone I used to really enjoy talking to. And I was so lit up about the work I've been doing lately. And this is the sort of person who lives for weekends and evenings, and I've been there and I know how horrible that is. But it's just a way of life and it happens sometimes. But I was explaining to them some things that were happening with work and why I was in more of an intensive work season and didn't have as much time to do hobbies and travel and go out and whatnot. I'm more focused on connecting and making things, right? And they just didn't get it. And if I'm being honest, I left that conversation feeling more lonely than I came into it. And it sort of reminded me like when you're in that pivotal, like liminal space, when you're in that chrysalis and about to burst out into full, flapping butterfly, moth mode, right? You have to be careful who you let speak into your life. And you also have to be careful who you associate with because no shade to other people who don't get it, who aren't supporting who you're becoming, but the wrong company will derail you, right? Will derail you, will discourage you. The wrong company, certain people will be envious of you and they don't even know how hard you work to get where you're going, how much sacrifice is connected to it. All they'll see are the fruits of your labor. All they see is the fact that you're trying and have confidence to go for it. And that's weird to them because it makes them reflect on what they aren't doing, right? And I don't say this from a self-righteous place. I just say this from an honest place. People get weird. Things get weird as you grow. But you start to stumble into people who are so much more aligned. And best case scenario, you get to bring people along for that journey with you. It's not like you have to cut off all your old friends, but you're gonna lose some people. And I've had the hardest time coming around to accept something that took therapy to accept honestly with friendship. And one friendship lesson I wish I learned sooner is that some people will not value the connection as much as you. They're not going to value the connection as much as you. And they aren't obligated to value the connection as much as you. Oh God. That actually like pierced my heart with pain, right? To accept that because you have certain friends who you love their company. You have certain people who you really love their company and you think that you mean something to that person. And a big part of my maturation process has been accepting that no one's obligated to value that connection just as much as you. The interesting thing about adult friendship, right, is that neither of us had to do this, but we're choosing to do this. And so if that person is no longer choosing to invest and show reciprocity, because you need reciprocity to have a real friendship, it can't just be one-sided. They're not choosing reciprocity, and you already voiced your piece and said what you'd like to feel more supported and witness as a friend. Hey, other people, other fish in the sea, let them be what they're gonna be. Let them do what they're gonna do, right? And this whole conversation around one-sided relationships and people not valuing the connection, oh, I have some thoughts. I will talk until the cows come home about how when you have a good heart, a bright light about you, a good energy about you, and you radiate authenticity and warmth, that's not everybody, but it's some people, that there are certain people who will just switch up and get weird toward you as you come into more of who you're meant to be. Not because there's anything wrong with you per se, but because you're a mirror, right? And you're not only a mirror for yourself to reflect on what is external, but what is internal, but you are a mirror for others, right? And you are likely the sort of person who invites people to reflect on the parts of themselves that they don't want to consider. And as such, a lot of people would rather witness you from afar than up close. And the irony is that once upon a time when they first met you, they wanted to be closer to you. But as they get to know you, they're afraid of getting found out in some way, and or they don't like the fact that they can't pull a fast one on you because you pick up on vibes and energies. You can pick up on envious spirits, right? You can pick up on even the discrepancies between what people are saying and what they mean. Because when you're tapped in, right, and heart centered, right, which is not most of the world, not most of the culture, right, you just you see things that aren't quite visible. You can hear things that aren't quite audible. Not in a creepy way, maybe in a creepy way, maybe in a sixth sense way. I don't know. But you operate with a level of perceptiveness and intuition that is a superpower, but just pushes some people away. And that's something that I've had to accept, that carrying this mantle of being a bit of a sensitive, empath, intuitive type, a lot of perks come with it. A lot of perks come with it. We do a lot of monumental creative work, right? We are great lovers, great friends, very compassionate, right? Not perfect, but who is, right? But certain people will distance themselves from you when they sense that glow about you because it's just too much for them to handle up close. But when it comes to adult friendships and whatnot, you know what I find kind of funny? I find this really funny, especially when it comes to male friendships, male adult friendships. I find it so funny how we love to talk about loneliness, loneliness, loneliness. The male loneliness epidemic. The male loneliness epidemic. It's so dangerous. Loneliness is bad for your health. And it's like, okay, well, let's not overcomplicate it. Let's start with one question. Who's doing the work it takes to maintain their friendships? Okay. And of those people who are doing the work to maintain their friendships, how many truly feel lonely compared to the people who aren't doing the work to maintain their friendships? You see where I'm going with this? If more of us did the inconvenient, semi consistent work, effortful work of maintaining our friendships, even just a few, core one, two, three, we would be less lonely. I know for a fact because I haven't always been the best friend. I'm in a worky season right now, and I'm working my hardest to stay top of mind, close, connected to my inner circle. But there are a lot of other people I wish I could see more and talk to more, right? But as the friend who's been effortful most of his adult life, right? I try to reach out periodically, check in, text, call, do the things to maintain the connection, right? That's how you maintain a friendship. I've been that person and I know what it feels like when people don't reciprocate it. And no one, again, is obligated to reciprocate it, but we don't get to complain about being lonely if we aren't doing what it takes to maintain the connection. You know what I'm saying? And that's what gets me with the whole loneliness epidemic. And the reason I mention men is because what I've noticed about most male friendships is most men are not the best at maintaining their relationships. They kind of default to their spouse, wife, husband, whoever is more socially attuned. They kind of default to their spouse's social circle. And then when that relationship crumbles, who do they have to fall back on? That's a big issue. We've got to maintain our relationships. We've got to maintain our friendships. And even when you're busy, maintain your relationships. Even when you're in a season that feels seismic and you're in the thick of a big level up, maintain your friendships. Studies show that you don't need a bunch of friends. You need 2 to 3 good ones who really know you, right? Who you can share what you're really going through with, right? That's what we need. But anyway, if you're going through a time, you're healing, you're doing some major growth, cool things are happening professionally and whatnot, and you sense your friendships changing, yeah, that's not a bug, that's a feature of the process, okay? You're in good company. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear your thoughts on this, e-cousins. And if you are a heart-centered visionary, navigating some sort of season of up-level, transition, reinvention, in your work or relationships, resources down below. Would love to connect with you, have a coaching program with you in mind. And spots will be closing soon for this season. And so would love you to get in there if this interests you. Anywho, please leave a review on the show if you could. It helps more people find it. And we'll talk soon. Bye.